Hey, my name's Dr. Dawn Young. I'm a professor at Bossier Parish Community College. I teach in the Division of Behavioral and Social Sciences. My favorite subject to teach is lifespan or developmental psychology. In addition to teaching here at BPCC, I also conduct research. My research is in the area of self-regulation or helping students be successful in college. I want to give you some idea of what you can do to be successful in college. The cool thing about my research is it helps students who may not be prepared for college, and it doesn't harm students who are academically prepared. So everybody can win when we do this. Now, the thing I want to caution you about is it's very simple. It's so simple that you might not do it. So let's look at it. Self-regulation is your ability to regulate or control your behaviors. This stems from two different fields, motivation and self-efficacy. Now, if you're in college, I really am just going to assume that you're motivated. Hopefully, you're motivated by yourself, but something got you here. Most people don't end up in college accidentally, so I don't worry a lot about motivation. But self-efficacy, that's a different issue. You may not know what self-efficacy is. Self-efficacy is your belief that you have the ability to accomplish something. There are some researchers that attribute 70% of your academic success to self-efficacy. That is, your ability to believe that you can do something will actually cause you to engage in behaviors that will make you successful. I want to repeat that so you can hear it. Students who believe they can be successful will do things that cause them to be successful. Now, the interesting part of that is, if you don't know what behaviors to do, then you're lost. It's your behaviors that will let you down, not your beliefs. What I like to boil that down to is an academic toolkit. Somewhere along the line in your academic experience, you either picked up a toolkit or you didn't pick up a toolkit. We're not really sure why or how people learn to use an academic toolkit. But what we know is students that aren't successful don't have this. The other interesting thing is that students who are academically successful can't tell you where they got it from, and they can't tell you what they're doing. So they're not a lot of help. Here's some things I would like to share with you that we found in doing this research that are behaviors to put in your toolkit that will lead you towards academic success. To fill this toolkit, it's going to sound so easy that you may not do it. Just give them a try. There are 4 things that will cause you to be successful. I want you to remember POME: prepare, organize, monitor, and evaluate. If you perform each of those behaviors, you will have a toolkit that's going to grow and grow. I want to look at each one of those individually. Prepare. You need to prepare for class. Now, I'm sure you've heard that before, but it's not simply a matter of reading materials or looking up what you're supposed to do or getting your assignment. Prepare actually starts well before that. You need to be prepared before you even get to class. For example, and this might sound rather strange, you want to make sure that in your toolkit you have tools that are going to help you in class, like a pencil, a pen, a highlighter. And in today's technology world, you better have a flash drive. These things are going to help you be prepared for class. It also includes having the right paper, perhaps a binder, perhaps a notebook. It certainly may mean the textbook. How do you know what to prepare for? Well, it's really easy. You ask. You ask your teacher. And if your teacher doesn't tell you straight out in class, then you ask directly, what do I need for this class? And then whatever they say, you go and get. Let me tell you something that's often overlooked in your preparation. It's your student ID. Now, this is my last student ID, so I'm going to ask you not to look at the picture. You need this to access all services at your school. It might be the computer lab. It might be accessing or checking out a book from the library or a video. Be sure that you have your student ID as part of your preparation. I know of a faculty member at BPCC who doesn't let the students in the class on the second day if they don't have their student ID. That's prepare, gathering the things that you need to be successful in class. Now, as the semester goes on, you're going to have to prepare in other ways, and that's where we get down to reading what's assigned, writing what needs to be done, and doing those assignments. Once we're prepared, we're going to move on to organize. Now, it's really excellent to have all your materials, but you need to organize them in some way that you can access them. Let me just give you two bad examples. The trunk of your car is not a good place to organize your materials. The back seat of your car is also not a good place to organize your materials. Your backpack is a little better, but it's not the best place. This is my backpack. And as you can see, it's quite large and quite black. So when things go in there, they can get lost. So again, maybe not the best way to organize. I really can't give you good examples because I find organization is a very personal thing. So let me use one of my good examples. When I turn in grades here at BPCC, I put all of my materials into a red folder. It's the only red folder on my desk. So that when I'm in a panic on the day that grades are due, all I have to do is grab my red folder. There might be thousands of pieces of white paper on my desk, but there's only one red folder, and that contains everything I need to be prepared for turning in my grades. So you have to organize. The next thing is probably the most important of all. You have to monitor. Monitor doesn't sound as interesting as being prepared and organized, but monitoring is called an executive control functioning. If you will think of it exactly like my little monkey here, it's watching everything very closely to see how it's going. Monitoring where you are in class, monitoring how well you're prepared, monitoring how much you are organized. Here's the key about monitoring. You start small and you get big results. I'm going to bore you with some research here. I conducted a study in one of my classes about monitoring. I wanted to see how well students monitored and what difference it made. Here's the special secret that I wanted them to use. A calendar. Just a plain old everyday calendar. There's lots of kinds. That's a regular calendar. This is actually called an uncalendar. I'm not sure why. And of course, you all know there's electronic calendars on your smartphones or other digital devices. I asked students for a whole semester to monitor what was going on in class. And if I said, put this on your calendar, you had to put it on your calendar. Here's my findings. Students who never used any type of monitoring device, let's call it a calendar, they didn't pass my class. They failed. Students who owned a calendar and only used it occasionally, they passed, but didn't do very well. Students who filled in every day in class what was coming up, what to expect in the future, what assignments there were, when tests were. They passed the class with an A or a B. The findings were so strong that I could actually predict success in the class based on whether or not a student had a calendar. How simple is that? Monitoring the activities that go on inside the classroom. So remember, monitor. Again, that's a personal activity. You have to figure what works best for you. I've found for myself, I can't monitor using my electronic calendar because I like to see the whole month spread out before me. Other people don't have that problem. Again, that's personal. You have to decide what you're going to do. The last thing I want us to look at is evaluate. Now, please don't hear test when I say evaluate. Evaluate is how are you measuring up. Let me give you a little example of evaluation. You're reading along in your textbook and you're going, I don't understand what I'm reading. Trust me, we have all been there. So what do? Do you keep on reading, push ahead, or do you go, let me go back and read that again and find out why I don't understand it? And when you go back, you're going, there's 3 words in here, I don't know what they mean. That's an evaluation. A good student that's academically successful will go find those 3 words in the dictionary and say, okay, now this is why I don't understand this paragraph. Students who don't do as well in school keep pushing on, hoping that sometime in the future they're going to understand what was said. So you need to evaluate. Let me tell you a secret that good students don't know how to share. Good students that are academically successful, they can tell you what their grade is at any point during the semester. They calculate it. They know that on the next test, I could make a B and still have an A in the class. They do that by evaluating their grades and seeing where they are. You should always know where you sit in terms of being successful in the class. If you have to ask the teacher, chances are you're not evaluating your own progress. What are some ways you can evaluate? Well, here's one. When you get a test back from an instructor and you don't understand why you missed a question, ask. When you're reading in a book and you don't understand what you're reading, make a list of those vocabulary words. These are ways to evaluate. Now let me tell you what frequently happens. Students that don't know how to evaluate, they will continue in behaviors that lead them to be unsuccessful. They know it's not working, but they won't evaluate it to find out why it's not working and change it. I'm here to tell you that academically successful students evaluate how they're doing, and when something goes wrong, they stop it instantly. Don't put yourself on the path to failure by continuing with behaviors that aren't helping you be successful in school. So I want you to look at these. Prepare, organize, monitor, and evaluate. Use these tools to help you fill that toolbox and become academically successful. There's nothing magical here. It's all very simple, and you can do it. I hope you're successful as you continue through your college education.